All right. So since we aren't probably, or not even probably, we aren't going to have time to really talk about stuff Friday after we get done with all the informative speeches, I decided to do a quick, well, it might not be that quick, but we'll see. Sort of lecture on supporting materials, researching your ideas, and we'll talk a little bit about citations in your speeches because you're going to need supporting material for your upcoming speeches. The informative speech requires 5 resources. The persuasive speech, I don't remember what the requirement is, but obviously if you're going to persuade people, you're going to need more than just your ideas and your experience. So we're going to talk quickly about different places to go to research. And I know most of you are going to go to the internet, but we'll talk about sifting through all of the stuff and different options that you have available. So obviously you need to have other kinds of supporting material than just your own ideas. You've got your main idea, you've got your central topic, and then you've got your main points. You need to have evidence to support that, whether it's numbers, whether it's quotations, whether it's scientific research, whatever it is. You need to be able to pull that stuff up, because even if you establish your credibility as an expert, it still pays to have other forms of support out there. So you want to have good, strong sources. And unfortunately, not everybody gets the best sources. They will find sources that agree with what, this is particularly true in persuasive arguments, but they'll find sources that agree with what they say, and they'll only present those sources, but they won't go deep enough to find out how reliable are those sources. And you want strong, credible resources that don't get shot down by somebody else. And we see every day examples of people putting up stuff on the internet, whether it's social media or actually putting up sites about things, and they don't really know what they're talking about, or they're basing it on a particular bias that they have. We tend to go with confirmation bias, so we only use the material that supports what we believe and we ignore the other stuff. And that's even true about things like, and I think we've talked about this in class, people who believe the earth is flat will go to sources that support their idea that the earth is flat, and they'll ignore all the other stuff that's out there that says, no, you're wrong, it's not flat, it's round. What you don't want is people picking apart your argument and finding flaws in your supporting evidence. So you need to go out and find good, reliable, credible sources. And there's 3 typical types of resources out there that we use. Examples are really good, whether they are using them as an analogy or you are presenting actual facts about something related to your topic. Using statistics is always good. Statistics are typically based off of some kind of a research and is published and established, and and we'll see. And I think I mentioned this in class the other day when we had our speeches. When you use a statistic, for example, you need to be able to say, at the time I used it, according to Encyclopedia Britannica, there are 9 billion people on the planet Earth. Okay, you need to start putting in your citations of where your information is coming from, just like you do in an essay. So examples are good, statistics are good, testimony is really good. I mean, if you think about it, our court system is pretty much established on having eyewitnesses, people who have experience on the topic or people who witnessed whatever's going on, come and talk about what they saw. That is very strong factual evidence typically, and sometimes those are good resources to get for your arguments, or sometimes you get a combination of all 3. Now, where to go for support? And I asked this in class probably week 1 or week 2, I don't remember which. Pretty much everybody goes to the internet for their research. It's simple, it's easy to do. We've all got these little phone devices and iPads and computers and all of this stuff to access the internet. And theoretically, everything on the internet, or everything in the world knowledge-based wise, is available on the internet. And to a point, that is true. But there's also not the most reliable stuff out there. So the internet is a good source to go out and find information to support your argument or to support your side. But as Lincoln once said, don't believe everything you read on the internet just because there's a picture with a quote next to it. There's a lot of false stuff out there. In fact, just this morning, I was reading the news, and Senator Josh Hawley of Missouri, well, I guess either Monday or Tuesday, had put up a quote about one of our founding fathers, Patrick Henry, the guy who did the call to arms, give me liberty or give me death speech. He put up a quote from Patrick Henry saying that the principles of the United States were founded on Christian religions that believed in Jesus Christ. And a whole bunch of people jumped on to his post and said, no, that's not what he said. That comes from a 1956 article about him, and that is mentioned in the article, but it is not something that he ever said, nor did any other founding father. That kind of stuff happens all the time, which is why you have to be careful with the internet. Just like Lincoln probably did not say this in real life, even though his picture's right here and there's a quote right here, and we refer to him as Honest Abe. He honestly did not say this. So we've got to be careful about what we see out there. The internet's a great resource. There is a wealth of information out there. There's also a wealth of misinformation. It is the primary source that students will go to. It's the primary source I used when I was in grad school writing 50,000 papers. But here's just some interesting facts. International Data Corp, which is has been around forever, estimated in 2020 that there's 440 zettabytes of material available on the internet. Wow, that's a big number. It means absolutely nothing because we don't know what a zettabyte is, and you just can't fathom what this is. So to kind of give you an idea what's out there. A gigabyte, which we know what a gig is. People have the little thumb drives sometimes that are a gig. That will hold, in terms of music, about 960 minutes of music. That's a lot of music, right? A zettabyte, which is what one of these things is 931 billion gigabytes. So you have to take 931 billion times 960 to get how many minutes of music that is. So now we're into just a number that's so big we can't even fathom that. And that's 1 zettabyte. That's 2 billion years of music. Who needs that, right? But it gives you an idea. You could start listening to the music in 1 zettabyte, and it would take 2 billion years to hear everything that was in 1 zettabyte. There's 440 zettabytes of information out there. That's 880 billion years of music. Think about how much, and that's just music. So think about how much information is out there.